Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here, helping you on a task for Chapter 8 called the Pan Balance Shapes task. And if you open up your copy right from Google Classroom, you'll see that there are links. If you click on the Pan Balance Shapes link, it's going to bring you to another app, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So the directions, you need to open up the link, and then for each set, you will use the balance tool to find the weight of each shape. Record your values in the table below. So let's look at the table. This is set 1, and let's make sure we understand what you're supposed to do. All right, so equation directions. When you are able to find values that balance out, it will automatically record a visual representation of your equation in the left pan, right pan display. Record this as an equation in the third column. See the example in set 1. Use one of your equations to show a check for the values that you have recorded in the guess weights column. If you have difficulty finding equations, record inequalities in the third column to help you. For example, T is greater than D. Now, I'd rather you actually come up with equations, but if you get really frustrated, then inequalities will be okay. All right, so guess weights directions. Once you have found items that balance, the option to guess weights opens. Record your numbers on this document after you have clicked on the guess weights icon, and your values all have green checks next to them. So for the set check directions, copy and paste one of your equations in the set check box, plug in the values from your table in the place of the variable, then show that the two sides of the equation are equal, a minimum of 3 lines of work. See the example in set 1. All right, so again, let me scroll down to set 1, and let's open up the application. So here's the application, and I want you to notice that at the top you have the navigation tool right here to get you to the different sets. So once you start guessing, now what I'm going to recommend is that you try to find the thing that's the lightest and then maybe the thing that's the heaviest, because that's a good launching point. Once you figure out what thing is the lightest, then you're going to be in good shape. The other clue that I want to give you is the fact that there are no fractional or decimal, like everything's a whole number. So that's good because it'll make it a little bit easier. All right, so let's go ahead and try this. So if we take a square and we compare it to a circle, see how the circle is heavier? The heavier it is, it goes down. See, this is not an equation. It's not balanced. So what if we add another square to this? Because that must be the lighter thing if it's up higher. Let's add another square and see what happens. See how it balances out? So when we write this as an equation, we can write it as 2 squares equals a circle. So let's go back and see what they have for some of the examples. So see square. The one we just came up with is we have 2 of the squares equals a circle. Now we can also, we would want to try to find a different equation that's different than this to put in this column. So they have, as an example, two diamonds equals a circle. So let's go back to the application. By the way, we're probably not ready to guess the weights yet. So let's reset the balance and let's try some circles and maybe some diamonds. What's heavier? Well, it looks like this is heavier, this is lighter, so let's add some diamonds to that, and we have something that balances. Now, once it balances, notice that it populates over here as being an equation. So we can write this equation either in the circle column, or a row rather, or the diamond. So again, the equation is circle equals 2 diamond. So let's see what we have. We have circle equals 2 diamond. That's pretty much exactly what this says here, isn't it? 2 diamond. All right, so now let's pull some triangles and compare that with some things. Let's go back to the application. And we'll reset the balance. And let's compare the triangle to, how about a diamond? Well, it looks like the triangle is heavier. Let's drag another diamond, see if it balances out. Still not balancing out, and now it balances out. So what equation would we write for triangle? We would say that 1 triangle is equal to 3 of the diamonds. So let's go back to the 1 triangle is equal to 3 of the diamonds. So see how we have an inequality here? If you have an equation, that's superior to an inequality because you're going to be more prepared to guess. So let's cross that out, and we'll stick with this. All right, now, according to this, let's see if it's true. It's saying that a square is the same weight as a diamond, so let's confirm that using the app. So let's clear it, reset, and it's saying a square is the same thing as a diamond. All right, and that's true. All right, so when you're ready to guess the weights, which maybe you are at this point, if we start guessing the weights, we already know a square is 1, so that means a diamond must be 1. Now, one of the things that you can do at this point is you can take your equations that you wrote for the ones that we don't know yet and see if we have any that compare a square to, say, a circle or any of these shapes that we don't have. So let's go back to the circle one, right? So circle equals 2 times the diamond. And now we know that the diamond is 1. So if we just simplify this, that means that circle should be 2. So if we put that in as a guess, we're saying that that might be a 2. All right, and then we can use the numbers that we have to help us figure out the triangle. So let's go back to what we have for triangle. See, triangle, let's write it over here. Triangle equals 3 times diamond. And we have diamond is equaling 1. So that means if we just multiply 3 times 1, that should give us the triangle. And that would be equal to 3. All right, so let's guess that. Let's guess 3, and we'll see if we're right for a triangle. Now, if we're wrong, it's going to tell us we're wrong. Let's hit the check button. And we have all green checks, which confirms that we're right. You need to transfer these values into the table, right? So let's transfer these values. For circle, let's go back and look. We said circle is 2, so let's fill that in. Circle is 2. We already have this and we already have this, so we need triangle. Let's go back and look and see what the triangle is confirmed as being 3. So let's fill in a 3 here. All right, now let's make sure we all understand how to do a set check. Now we can take any one of these equations that we came up with. So in this particular example, this was used. So step 1 is to write the equation. Step 2 is to substitute in your value for D. So recall that for D we got 1, see how that's substituted in. And then you show that the two sides equal each other. So you need a minimum of 3 lines of work in order for you to have a complete set check. So if you just put like 2 equals 2, that's not good enough. You need 3 lines of work. Now we could have easily chosen this equation instead. So let's say we did that. If we chose that, we would put in C equals 2 times D, and then we would substitute in our values. So here for C, we said that's a 2. And for D, we said D was a 1. And we would show that 2 equals 2, because this means 2 times 1, right? So that's 2. So again, 3 lines of work. All right, let's do set 2 together. So set 2, let's make sure everybody knows how to get to it in the application. So see set 2 up here. We have to click on that. And again, so everything's all fresh now. This has nothing to do with set 1. We have to start figuring out what's the thing that might be the lightest. What might be the lightest? So let's say we think it might be the square again. Let's compare that to, how about a circle? Let's keep adding more circles to see if we can get it to balance out, and see that those two things are not going to balance out. Now, what's not going to be helpful is to put like a bunch of triangles, and you want to try to keep it to just 2 shapes. So if I added a diamond and it happened to balance out, that's not really going to be all that helpful to figuring it out. So I'm just going to reset the balance. And what if we try, let's say we think that the diamond is the lightest thing. And let's see if we think, well, let's go back, let's put a square over here. And we can see that I was right, that this was lighter. What if we just keep adding some diamonds to see if it'll eventually balance out? And it does. All right, notice that it populates over here as an equation. So that means that we have 4 of the diamonds equaling a square. Let's fill that in. We can either fill it in for square or we can fill it in for diamond, doesn't matter. So let's say we want to fill it in for square. So again, let's look at it again. It was 4 diamonds equals 1 square. So let's put it here. 4 diamonds equals 1 of the squares. All right, so that means that we might think that the diamond so far is looking like it's the lightest. Let's go back to the application, reset the balance. and try to figure out maybe the relationship between maybe, how about diamonds and triangles? Let's find out the relationship between those two things. So diamonds and triangles. So again, we find this is lighter because it goes up higher. This is heavier. Let's add another diamond and see what happens. All right, and it balances out. So now we have an equation that we can use to represent the diamond triangle relationship. Let's go back to the application, and how about we fill in one right here? So we'll fill in this one for triangle. So let's look again and see what the equation was. It's 2 diamonds equals 1 triangle. 2 diamonds equals 1 triangle. All right, now let's try to get a few more equations going. How about let's do something with the circle? So we know that the diamond is probably the lightest thing. So how about we compare the diamond and the circle to see if we're still right? All right, again, it confirms that this is lighter than the circle because it's up. This is down, so gravity pulls. This is heavier. So let's add some diamonds and see if we can get it to balance out. So it's still not balancing out. All right, now it balances out. All right, so what's our equation for this? It would be 3 diamonds equals a circle. 3 diamonds equals a circle. So we need an equation for a circle. 3 diamonds equals a circle. All right, so the only equation that we still need is we need something for D. Now, we already have other equations that have a D in it, but maybe we can come up with something that's new and fresh. So how about, what if we put something like 2 circles and add some diamonds, just so we have something fresh there. Let's see if it'll let us do it. All right, so it does. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diamonds equals 2 circles. So that's sort of a proportional relationship that I'm hoping that you see. So again, it's 6 diamonds equals 2 circles. Let's put it in here. 6 diamonds equals 2 circles. All right, now the good news is I think they give you one of the, when you guess the weights, because maybe we're ready to guess the weights, it does give you what a diamond is. We can use that and substitute it into our equations to figure out what the other 3 are. So let's take advantage of that fact. So we know that a diamond is equal to, it says right here, I'll show you again, a diamond is equal to 1. So let's fill that in our chart. Diamond is equal to 1, and now we can use that to figure out some of the other things. So if we substitute in a 1 in the place of D for this equation, we should be able to get S. So I'm going to do the work down here. 4 times 1 equals S. 4 times 1 would be 4. So that means that we should, and I'll just put this in a different color so we know we're not sure yet, but we're saying that square is probably going to be 4. So let's fill that in, and then we'll check it on the app to make sure we're right. All right, so we can do the same kind of thing with the circle. This one right here, we can take this right here and let's write the equation. We'll substitute in what we know, which is diamond for 1. And if we multiply this times this, we get 3. So that means that this should be 3. All right, for triangle, again, we're going to take the equation that we have, which is 2D equals T. We'll substitute in the value for diamond, which is 1. And if we do the math there to get T, 2 times 1 is 2. So that means we think that this might be 2. All right, so now let's plug these in. So we have square is 4, circle is 3, triangle is 2, and diamond we already know is 1 because they told us that. All right, so let's plug in the numbers and see if that's right. So we said 4, we said 3 on the circle, and the triangle we said 2. Let's see if we're right. So we're going to check it, and we have all checks, so that's when you know you're good to just keep those numbers in your table. Those are good to go. Now let's talk about the next step, which is to do a set check. So we can take any one of these equations that you want. So let's say you want to take this one. You can choose, I'd probably choose the one that's the easiest for you. And you just have to copy the equation again. Now remember, you need 3 lines of work. So the first line is the equation itself. The second line is the substitution. So what are we supposed to put in place of D? Well, we got for D, which is a 1. What are we supposed to put in place of the s? What we got for s, which is a 4. And if we do 4 times 1, we get 4. 4 equals 4, so it checks. Now, the reality is we could have taken any one of these equations, put them in this box, and checked them. As long as you have 1, then I'm satisfied. All right, so you're going to take it from there because there's set 3, there's set 4. Now, there was a rumor, I think it was set 6, that some people had some difficulty with in the past. So just be patient and know that there are no half or partial numbers. It's all whole numbers. And you won't have a number, none of the numbers will end up being a number that's higher than 10. So keep that in mind. They're all single-digit numbers that you're going to be coming up with for your weights on each of the shapes. I think that would be helpful. And again, I can't stress the importance of finding the shape that's the lightest first, because if you find which one's the lightest, then you're going to be piling those on one side and then adding one at a time the heavier shape to see when you can get it to balance out. All right, good luck finishing this up. And when you have all the sets done, then you're going to be ready for the quiz. You want to use your document to help you with the quiz that you're going to be taking on this task, because I think in some cases you'll have the exact equations that you come up with will be presented in the quiz. All right, good luck finishing this up, everybody.